This is Dave Higginbotham interviewing Joyce Stone, and we are in what town?
Dimmock Township.
This is Dimmock Township in Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania. So Joyce, you've been here how long?
35 years, and my late husband and I came here from New England to be the naturalists at the Woodburn Forest and Wildlife Preserve, which is adjacent to us. It's a 600-acre preserve which contains old-growth woods.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I were both diehard environmentalists, and we have been involved all our lives with problems. And when we first came here, they were proposing to build a energy park that was going to have 10 nuclear power plants on it and 10 coal power plants just like 20 miles, 30 miles from here. And I mean, you can imagine one nuclear power plant is pretty awesome, but to think about having 10 on one site. So
yeah.
We were just a small group of people, and we fought that successfully, and that was 35 years ago. And he and I had been involved in just numerous environmental problems ever since then. And the point that I'm coming to is that dealing with the gas industry has been like 100 times worse than any of the environmental problems that I've been fighting for 35 years.
So how long ago was it the gas company started coming in this area?
Well, they came in quietly, and they signed up people quietly, and I had heard about that they had been drilling for gas on one farm here. It was during one of the elections that I was a volunteer at down in Dimmock, so boy, I don't know whether that was 4 years ago or whenever.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's it?
They really kept the word quiet, yeah, about what they were doing until they secured all the land that they wanted.
Right.
And then my parcel's only about under 6 acres, so the small parcels they've picked up in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And being a diehard environmentalist, I was very reluctant to sign a lease. I went to all these public meetings. The Penn State Extension seemed to be strongly supporting the gas industry, which they've done from the beginning. They also used to support acid rain. And DEP, which I've had a lot of contacts with over the years dealing with other problems, also supported it. And I went to a lawyer who supposedly was an environmental lawyer, and he said that because I was going to get a well almost on the adjacent property, that they would take my gas whether I signed it up or not. So I signed a no surface lease.
Mm-hmm.
Never have a well on my property, but and when I signed it, I thought I was signing my life away to do it. It was one of the hardest things I ever put my signature to, ever.
Oh.
And I just did it because I thought I'm going to be in hell here, and maybe I'll need the money to get away because your property values are going down.
Right. So you were receiving dividends off
I
the gas?
haven't gotten any. Yeah, I got a bonus money up front. I don't have that much land, only 5 acres, but I wonder even, whether that is, there's no easy way that you can even tell whether you're getting your fair amount of royalties from this system.
Mm-mm. So did they tell you when you signed it basically it was mostly going to protect you from anything happening? Because I've heard interviewing other people that they'd come in and say, like they told you, we're going to get your gas anyway. But
well,
if
that was
something
my lawyer who told me that. And yeah, they told me that too, I think, and it's so much. But I can't remember for sure, so I can't be quoted that they said that to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought at that time there hadn't been any, pollution problems. There had been one spill of diesel fuel from a truck, but it was not connected with the actual drilling process.
Yeah.
And I lived through that Valdez, well, you too, and I
not that young.
I tried comparing. Do I want to? I didn't want to be a NIMBY, and I bought into the whole thing about Vera. I bought into the thing that this was clean gas and that, you wouldn't see any traces left behind. And I looked on their website, and not that long, but it looked like, boy, they were a pretty sophisticated company. And, you know, you have to believe, I asked DEP face to face with these people, are you concerned about any, you know, contamination of our drinking water? They said no, the amount of chemicals they use is infinitesimal. You know, so, I mean, it was just a big whitewash or whatever of the public, and it came from those individuals that you know, rely on for your information. And, you know, I thought, as a naturalist, what's more valuable, the coastline with trillions of different animals living in the ocean, or here, you know, essentially farmland that's converting back, and, you know, what kind of a spill could they have here?
So you actually went as far as to weigh oil versus natural gas and the habitats it comes from.
Disadvantages and advantages.
And that's something I've heard the gas companies use. You know, you burn natural gas, it is cleaner than burning oil and coal.
Yeah, yeah, and I have propane that I started using 5 years ago. I mostly use my husband's late wood-burning stove that he built, but, you know, I have used a very small, like 1% of natural gas if I'm away or something, propane, I mean. So, you know, and I feel guilty, like so many other people do, that I even signed a no surface lease, but I may even have a well right up here on the hill here. It's a physical problem where you have to live in daily fear that your water's going to be contaminated. It's an emotional problem because people that you have been friends with for all your, you know, 35 years have different views than you do, and
that's another thing I keep hearing, is it kind of divides communities.
Oh, it's terrible.
Coming in, I saw a truck that said, there's a residual waste truck. On the back it had painted, drill baby drill. I wanted to get a picture, but I was driving.
Yeah, it's terrible. I've been on this woodborne committee that's for 35 years, first as the naturalist for 14 years, and then when we built our house and moved over here, we became members of the volunteer committee. So I've been taking care of this preserve for 35 years and still lead tours of colleges and young people through it and all. Now I'm leading tours of the gas drilling sites and everything, the total opposite. But our committee was voting whether to allow this sanctuary to permit non-surface drilling. And we don't have the final say. Fortunately, the Nature Conservancy, who owns it, has the final say. But
do you know which way they're leaning?
We took a vote, and I've been fighting this committee for a year now on this. You know, I was appalled the two people were supporting, you know, having even that, because even if you don't allow the non-surface drilling, those Cabot's going to get as close as they can. And we only own 70% of our watershed, and we have beautiful wetlands and ponds in this wildlife sanctuary, one of the few old-growth forests in northeastern Pennsylvania. There's only 2 salt springs in this. And people on the committee, my friends for 35 years, were saying things like, just think of all the good we could do with that money, and there is that point.
Question. What's their,
you know, I mean, Cabot was then last year offering up to $6,000 an acre, and we have 600 acres. So, and then you know, we have the issue: where's that money going? Is it going to go to the Nature Conservancy? And I'm sure that it would go to them; that we wouldn't have any bit of it. And yet, people on the committee were like, "Oh, well, we can use that money and build a new home here and improve, have." You know, restrooms and this and that. And my point was, our first obligation is to protect this old growth forest and not to develop it and not to do anything else.
You start putting in bathrooms and making it a picnic area.
Yeah, you get all sorts of people, and you know, that's all
pollution.
It's all beside the point. But when we came here, the preserve is over 50 years old, and we came here 35 years ago. The people that were on the committee knew the donor, Francis Cope, and what he really wanted. Now we've got a lot of newer, younger people who just want it to be a lot of hiking trails, and this bothers me because I've read studies that, you know, if you increase hiking trails, birds move away from nesting from the trails, and you disturb wildlife, and it was mainly set aside to be a wildlife sanctuary. Anyways, we had the first vote in the history that I've been here that was by mail, secret ballot, so that nobody would know how anybody else was voting on what their recommendation would be to the Nature Conservancy. And I was like, why can't we just write our, you know, put yes, no, throw it in the pile on the floor here? But oh no, we had to do it the way a lawyer suggested to us through the mail and all.
So what was the outcome of the vote?
We haven't even heard it yet. I said that I wanted to know as soon as it happened, and
how many people are on the?
And they finally, you know, that was another
voters?
discussion, who was going to be opening up the envelopes and this and that, and it was finally decided that, you know, we would have the officers open the envelopes.
Who's deciding whether the chads are poked all the way through?
Yeah, we had this little thing, and I made the proposal, and the proposal is the one that's being voted on, and my proposal was that we do not allow any kind of surface or non-surface drilling at Woodbourne, and that we recommend this to the Nature Conservancy. So I have some satisfaction that at least I was able to get the proposal as being voted on by 20 people.
Well, let's say the proposal passes and there's no, and you guys don't sign any lease with them whatsoever. Do you still, in the back of your mind, are you scared that they're going to go underneath anyway, a mile down, and suck gas out and pump stuff in?
I'm not scared about it, but I think that if the Nature Conservancy doesn't sign, they are not going to put as many wells right around the preserve. That's my hope. And that I won't get one up the hill for me, and if there's one right up here, and there's a frack accident, it's going to come right down on my huge bed of potatoes out here, and my blueberry bushes, and my little grape vineyard and everything.
So you currently don't have any wells really close? Besides,
There's one
obviously, Cabot's right there.
Right behind the Cabot building, that if you look up on the hillside, so that's only about a third of a mile away. And then there is one planned, I guess, for next year, just down the road from me. Not the next property, but the next property over. So that's only like, that's within 1,000 feet.
Are you on well water here?
Oh, yeah.
And your water's still good right now?
Who knows? You
Yeah.
know, I had it tested in December, and even the results of that are vague because they tell you that no standards have been established, so you don't even know from that test the quality of your water as far as some of the important things.
You mean standards for locations that are close to wells?
No, that the government hasn't established standards for various elements.
Oh, you mean the stuff they're using though? Because I mean, there's drinking water standards under the Clean Drinking Water Act.
I don't think they pertain to people that have well waters.
Oh, really?
I think that may just be for like people that
City
are
water.
getting waters out of reservoirs.
Uh-huh.
I'm not positive on that, but it seems like I've heard that.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is the hydrofracking companies are basically immune to the Clean Drinking Water Act, which I personally think is ludicrous.
It's incredible. I mean, as I said, I've worked all my life to try to improve rivers and streams, and all in Connecticut and New England and here, and the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, all these groups. There's so many. It's been just a huge wellspring of environmental organizations since the early 60s. And all the work that we've done and all the regulations that have been passed, and now they're letting the gas industry put horrific chemicals into the ground, and it's just unbelievable. If they would just use the sand and the water, like, you know, probably everybody else, my objections to what they're doing would be decreased by, you know, whatever, 70%, if they would also stop using the diesel, whatever, because I've been smelling diesel in the air, and this morning even there's a bad smell of gasoline here.
Yeah. What do they do down here? Is this just offices, the Cabot offices? So there's no processing or anything going on there?
They're apparently going to put a plant there, a gas drilling rig there as well.
Just a rig?
But yeah, that used to be just a little small hospital, and it looks down onto a wetland.